Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from ArtPlace.ca. In today's video we're going to make some miniature art, and I've got a few things laid out here. Now this project, you can use this to create an artist trading card, or you can use it just to create a little piece of art that you can frame in a small frame, or you can use it as a front for a greeting card. So it's very, very flexible. You can even make it into a postcard or a larger piece. So what I want to do is create something with a little bit of shimmer to it, and I found this trim, and I got this at the dollar store, which was really, it's got some webbing in it, really cool. And I found some other little pieces. Actually, Joe found this, and then I found some little container of all these little pieces here. So that's going to be what I'm using. And then I got this little piece from a printable from the internet. I don't remember where I got this. I usually get a lot of my printables from Graphics Fairy. I don't remember where I got this. I don't remember. So, okay, so let's get started. So with this, first thing I want to do is prep it with gesso. So I'm just going to use DecoArt Media white gesso. And I'm going to use my number 8 Bristle Bright. And I'm using that, and I'm pushing the gesso into the paper. Now I'm using 300-pound watercolor paper, so it's quite textured. So the bristle brush actually pushes the gesso into the pores. I'm going to start using, well, not really using, we're having a trading card swap called 52 Pickup, well, depending on the time that you're watching this video. And the deck of cards that I bought to create one artist trading card, I'm probably going to start using them for other miniature art or artist trading cards because they're the perfect size. Okay, so that's that. Put that aside, put that in water, clean that up. And then basically just let that dry. So while that's drying, I have one that's already prepared to save time. And then I'm going to apply, and you're going to gesso both sides of the paper. I'm going to apply some right onto the paper. DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics Green Gold. Roughly apply this because the red, this stuff here is going to go on top, so I want to add a little bit of contrast. And you don't have to cover the whole thing. Now I don't know what it's looking like on your end, but on my monitor, on my monitor, this looks really yellow-green, and it's not that yellowy. Okay, so like that, and then on the back, and take that and a little bit of water. You can also smush the card in there to create a really cool effect. I like layering paint when it comes to the backgrounds too. And I'm not going to be putting a artist trading card stamp on this or anything. I'm just going to put I'm going to stamp some journaling lines on there and a little season's greeting sentiment. This works out really nice for an actual greeting card. You can do whatever you want with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this dry, and what we're going to do next is to edge it with some transparent red iron oxide. I'm going to use some DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics, the transparent red iron oxide. And I'm going to put that right about here because I'm going to need it again later. And I think to do the edging, I'm going to, I think what's going to give me the, let's try with this. This is just a double-sided pouncer. And I'm not just doing the edges, I'm actually going to go into the card. You don't want to use something too small or you're going to get some really hard edges. And as I'm working through, as I see that there's less and less of paint being applied, then I'll go into a different area and go more into the piece, and it just keeps everything nice and soft. So as I load this, and I put on, I won't go right in and start bringing it right into the piece. I'll start on the outside, and I'll see how it's being applied. It's still quite a bit of paint there, so I'm just going to darken the edges. And as the paint starts to run out, I'll just go a little bit further into the card. And this will make the edges dark, and it gets lighter as you go in towards the center. And you know what I'm doing? I'm working the back side of the card. Oh well, at least it'll look pretty. So you get to see the technique twice. All right, now I'm going to turn it over and do the right side. There we go. And this just finishes the edge. The webbing is going to be on top of this, so a lot of it's not going to show, but where it is going to show, it's going to be really pretty. And I like that fold line. This was from a little booklet that I made, and it got damaged, so I took the whole thing apart. And the unpainted pieces, I just split them to create smaller surfaces to work from. So now as I almost have no paint on there, and I'm just going to circle, circle, circle into the card. This takes a little bit of practice to create a nice vignette like this. What you can also use, so I've got these little daubers. This is from Decor. This is for glass. And this really gets the paint dark on the edges. And you can also use it like this. And when you use the little daubers, because it's wood, a little bit of foam on the wood, that the foam doesn't wrap around the card, so you're really just doing the edge. So if I wanted to get something really dark on that edge, this would be perfect. Cosmetic sponge, if I use a bit too much pressure, will actually wrap around the card. You can also do it with a paintbrush. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. There we go. So we have that there. Now what I want to do is put that on there. And now this is going to take a little bit of time to dry. I'm going to use the matte medium. And I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. I may have cut this too short. There, so that's what I'm looking for, like that. And if this is too sparkly, you can always knock it back with some translucent white. I'm just using a shader brush for this, a little brush. I don't want it to be too big because I want to control, I want some of these ridges to show through. It's just going to add a little bit more texture, and then the ribbon is not going to be flat. It's going to have a bit of a texture to it. I'm also going to apply some of this on top. And then as I push it, where was the ridges of the matte medium, it's actually sticking better to the bottom. Now, if you have trouble with this, if your medium is too thin, you can always use a little bit of hot glue. Just be careful, depending on the trim what you buy. If it's plasticky, you might end up melting it. So do a test piece first. See, all those ridges now are holding the trim, and now I can just flatten it out by applying a little bit of medium throughout the piece. And I'm more concentrating on the edges because I don't want it to peel up. You start off with a little bit of medium first, lay it down, and then apply it on top. And what this is also going to do is knock down all that shimmer, because this is a matte medium, so it'll knock down some of that shimmer on the ribbon. Now I am going to be using a hot glue gun to glue down the sentiment. I've already tried it and it's safe. But if you have a glue gun that has different temperature ratings on it, then you'll be all right. I like that part sticking up a little bit. And the stamp's going to go here, so I want to make sure that's relatively flat. Right to the edge. The edges are the most important. If you had some wax paper, you could wax paper on top and then put something heavy. Like that. And I'll let that dry. Put that over there. And side. And while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to take, so I've got my transparent red iron oxide. I'm going to take some yellow, transparent yellow iron oxide, just a little bit, and we'll work on this stamp. Now with this here, let me get a palette knife. I just want to get a bit of a mix between the two. I don't want anything too dark. So if I had to look, it's a little, if you take equal parts and then just add a little bit more of the yellow, that actually works out pretty good. And I'm going to use a stencil brush for this, because I want the edges to look streaky. When I say streaky, it looks like there is, think of like a wood grain. It's not going to be very visible, but it is very soft. When I do dry brushing, especially just on paper, like this is just on printer paper, you run the risk of tearing the paper if it becomes too wet. So in saying that, with the foam sponge, there'd be a lot of movement going around, so, and the area is larger, so there is a higher chance that I might tear this, as well as with the dauber, because it's on hardwood. With the little bristle brushes, it's softer, and then you can just gently put the paint on. You don't need to use a lot of pressure. Now there is a black trim on here, and I'm contemplating whether if I should edge that with a bit of black. I'm not sure. There was no way I was going to fussy cut in that, but you know, now that I say that, you could just like do little triangles. I'm not going to do that. Sorry, no way. And I'm just going to bring that in there. I'm going to take a little bit more of the yellow. Now at this point, to go inside, I could use that sponge. With the brush, I can be a little bit more careful. I don't want to get any of this color on the little girl. It's just a little boy. I'm just going on the outside, working the background. And this, I can cover up. It's not 2005. I'm putting something over that. So the little boy's going to stand out. If you printed this on cardstock, you can use whatever you want to age the photo. If you have a photo of somebody, actually I'll just age that as well. If you have a photo of somebody, don't work on the actual photo, just make a copy of it just in case. Like that. There we go. And now we're gonna need, no, we're not gonna need any more of that. Okie dokie smoky. So what I want to do now, let me put these, get these out of the way. I want to have a gloss finish on this. There's two ways we can do this. I love using triple thick for this. I was going to use liquid glass, but the liquid glass that I have, my concern is it's actually going to go over, then I'll have to trim it, and I don't want it to be that thick. The liquid glass is perfect for that, but I don't want it to be that thick. So I prefer using the triple thick for this because it's almost like adding 6 layers of varnish in one shot. You can do it with a brush, or you can do it with the spray. With the spray, you need to do it in a well-ventilated area. This is faster, and it does give you a more even coat. Okay, it does give you a more even coat. So I'm going to use, you don't need a lot, that's even too much. And I'm just going to apply. And then once you apply it, you have to work fairly quickly. You don't want to overwork it. And then once I finish putting the varnish on there, I'm going to leave this to dry right on my unstick craft mat. Oh no, I'm going to use the whole thing. Making sure that I have it everywhere. Yep, that's actually pretty good. Now once it starts to dry, you can't touch it. So I will put that right over here. And then while that's drying, the way I laid out everything is that you can let stuff dry as you're working. Put that aside. But again, the spray would have been faster. Okay. I've got this cutout, die cut cutout. It's a little wood piece. Joe found me a package of these, and when you take these off, I just got this at Michael's. Careful when you peel off the packing, because I broke some of these when they were just being held together by one piece. So this I'm going to be applying the Dazzling Metallics. It's Festive Green, and I'm not going to prime this first. What am I going to use to put that on there? I'll just use a little brush. And I'm just going to paint directly on that. Because there's some, looks like wood burn stuff here, I want that to show through. Now the Dazzling Metallics, it's semi-transparent, so it's perfect for that. I don't like that though. I don't like that. And when I'm looking at this, if you like this type of thing with wood and burn, I've got some projects that are coming up. And it was actually Joe's the one suggested it. I'm not good with knives or like even the hot glue gun. I'm not very good with. I'm going to wood burn create miniature art that's wood burned and painted. And we're actually going out today to pick up the tools. So that'll be, and which is funny because we were at breakfast this morning and he said, "Why don't you try doing your miniature art with wood burning?" We're going to be picking up. He found an actual sketchbook, and the pages are made of wood, actual wood, and it's from Japan. And we're going to go see what it's like, and I'll probably do it on that. But you can do it on balsa wood or whatever. Here we go. You can still see the parts here. I love that. But see how nice it is? You can see, it might be hard for you to see, but you can see a little bit of the wood grain showing through. Okay, I'm going to put that back in. I didn't need that much. Put that aside. Let that dry. And, oh, that's still really wet. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and start putting everything together. All right, so I put everything together, and the reason being is that when I was actually gluing everything down, I forgot to turn the camera on. It happens, but you didn't really miss anything. I just basically glued everything down. I used my glue gun, and I just glued that down, and the little leaf, little rhinestone. But I added some ribbon with wire, and I added that in there, and that was it. Now, because I'm using this as miniature art, I don't need to really stamp the back, but you could use just journaling lines like this if you want to make this into an artist trading card, or use an actual artist trading card stamp or just write your name using a nice permanent marker. But I'm going to use this as miniature art. So that's it. And when I glued this down, I glued this part down with my glue gun with thick globs of glue. That way it would be raised. And that's it. So it's all done. Nice and shiny, nice and strong. And you can see the green through the mesh. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this little video. And if you've created handmade greeting cards or miniature art for the holidays, share in the comments below the types of things that you've created. And I would love to see a picture, so you can either email it to me or post it in my private Facebook group. Links to both of those are on my website at ArtPlace.ca. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss on any videos being posted, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Alrighty, time to clean up, and I'm off to my next project. So until I see you next time, stay inspired.